Hello, I'm Rachel Barr, curator at the National Quilt Museum, and we're delighted to present this artist talk by collection artist Victoria Findlay Wolfe. Victoria has two quilts in our collection, Soigné and Mindful Balance, but this artist talk is about her exhibition titled Option Expedition, which uses basic quilting shape in big graphic designs and bold colors. I bet you can guess what her favorite color is.
This is more of an experience. It's not just about the individual quilts. The idea started for me probably 7 or 8 years ago. And I used to travel all the time to be teaching, and I was constantly on an airplane. And since I didn't have a sewing machine in front of me, all I had was my phone on an airplane. And so I would take just these basic shapes and I would play with them, kind of like you think about a fidget spinner. And I would take those basic shapes that we see in quilting, right? A square, parallelograms, quarter circles, triangles, and just those basic ideas, and play with them in photo apps, taking those pieces, rotating them, turning them, expanding on them, repeating them, and just playing with them. And I would do this, and I would come up with hundreds of them per every flight that I was on. As a teacher as well, I'm always thinking about how do I convey where these ideas come from? So this exhibit is really kind of a peek inside of my brain, how I can start with one set of basic ideas or shapes, how I can put those together, rotate them. I'm also trained as a fine artist, so I'm thinking about the design principles. So in this exhibit, you're able to identify a lot of those concepts, right? So you can see where the basic idea, the basic shapes have started. These were the first part of that series where I was taking those basic elements and then expanding on them, and then playing with contrast, line, symmetry, texture, all of those different concepts. And you're able to keep seeing them morph within each of those pieces. I've been having a whole lot of fun sort of taking those basic shapes and pushing it as far as I can. The series itself is not finished. It continues to grow. I'll have even more pieces that'll be coming in the future, because every time I look at those hundreds of quilts that I've kind of designed in my iPhone, every day there's a different one that sparks an interest to me. For me, the color palette was important to stay the same so that you can really sort of focus on all of those other elements. And also staying the same keeps that impact of being enveloped by the whole concept. Each time that the exhibit is hung, I'm usually making something to fill the space, specifically for the space. So this was one of the newer pieces from the third subset of it, which I have to look because I always forget. Oh, it's Shadow, Eureka Shadow. And then the one right directly behind is also one of the new ones, which is Eureka Slide, where the panels are starting to slide from each other. And the one on the opposite side of that panel is called Pillar. So those were the three newest pieces that were done specifically for this exhibit. Red is one of my favorite colors. I think for impact and for historical background, I grew up on a farm in Minnesota. We had international harvesters. My dad was a car head, so like the tractors were always really nicely taken care of. So there was always red paint to touch up on the tractors. So our coffee table is red, the front door was red. Like it was used on everything. The color certainly has made a really big impact on me. The second part of that is my grandmother's quilts that were double knit polyester were a lot of these colors. So if you look at her quilts that are in my books, you notice them and you'll see those colors sort of pop off the page, the reds, the oranges, the turquoises that kind of come alive out of those double knit polyesters, which are never going to fade. So the reference will always be there. But also some of these colors, the light turquoise, the dark turquoise, that gold, I mean, those are colors from my house growing up. So things that you're surrounded with from a child, my grandmother's quilts and the colors in our house and on the farm, those things are really embedded, in what I do. These are all patterned with paper templates. So, and then it's the scissors and crawling around on the floor, trimming these up and facing them, and they all get washed and they're all blocked on the carpet in my house. I'm pinning them to the floor, squaring them up, getting them flat, doing all of that. But no, everything is done by paper templates.
Scotch tape and a
Scotch tape and a ream of paper, exactly. I think all of my work, I have several different kind of bodies because everything excites me. Like I make traditional quilts for my beds. I love brown quilts, but you don't really see those in a lot of the work that I exhibit. But I love all colors, so I try to make space for all of it. I have my newest book, The Quilting Experience, which is in the shop out here. It's patterns and stories from many of you, because quilting and the stories is what brings us together, and I think that's a really powerful tool. I have my website, vfwquilts.com. We have the exhibition catalog out there that shows some of the pictures of when these are being made. That's been a fun journey to be able to share with you. But yeah, that's where you're going to find me.
Thank you to our supporters of the National Quilt Museum. We rely on the generosity of our donors to help fund programs and to provide operational support for the museum. Because of you, we can have engaging artist talks and provide exceptional educational programming and, of course, caring for the most exceptional quilt collection made by today's quilters. Please visit us online at quiltmuseum.org to keep up with our exhibitions and all the activities. And we will look forward to seeing you here soon at the National Quilt Museum.